Have you ever just stopped and thought about the sheer number of living things on this planet? We're talking millions and millions of species. How in the world do you even begin to make sense of all that? It sounds impossible, right? Well, today, we're going to crack that very code. Think of it like a detective story for all of life on Earth. Let's dive in.
So yeah, this is the big question. How do you file away everything from a tiny microbe to a giant mushroom to, well, to us? For the next few minutes, we're going to follow the clues, the exact steps that biologists use to take all of that overwhelming variety and sort it into just 5 tidy groups. And you'll see it's actually way more straightforward than you'd think. Okay, so our first clue, and honestly this is the big one, the most fundamental split of them all, it's found deep inside the cell. It all boils down to one simple question. What's going on with the nucleus? What you're looking at here is the first major fork in the road for all of life. On one side, you have prokaryotic cells. You can kind of think of their genetic material, their DNA, as being all scattered around the room, no organization. But on the other side, you have eukaryotic cells. These are super organized. All their DNA is tucked away neatly inside a little container, the nucleus. That's it. That's the key difference, and it's our first big sorting decision. So let's just really lock that definition in. When you hear prokaryotic, think pro, like it came before a proper nucleus was ever a thing. It's a simple cell, no central command center for its genetics. Everything's just kind of floating around.
And get this one single feature is so incredibly important that every living thing on this planet that has this simple cell structure gets grouped together into one single kingdom, just based on that one clue.
And boom, that's kingdom Monera. The rule is just that simple. If it's a prokaryotic cell, it's a Moneran. You know what that means? It means every single bacterium on Earth. The helpful ones in your stomach, the scary ones, the ones at the bottom of the ocean, they all belong right here in this one massive kingdom. Okay, 1 kingdom down, 4 to go. So from this point on, we're totally ignoring the prokaryotes. We're only looking at the eukaryotes now. You know, the organisms that do have that nice organized nucleus. So what's our next clue to sort through this huge group? Well, our next question is pretty easy. Are we looking at an organism that is just one single cell doing everything by itself? Or is it a more complex creature made of a whole team of cells working together? Unicellular versus multicellular. This is our second big split. And yep, just like before, this difference is a big enough deal to create a whole new category. If you've got a true nucleus, but you're only made of one cell, you get your own exclusive club, your own kingdom. So let's say hello to Kingdom Protista. These are the single-celled superstars of the eukaryotic world. The classic example, of course, is the amoeba. It's got that proper nucleus, but it's just one little cell doing its thing. And I absolutely love this description from the source material. An amoeba looks just like a broken egg ready for an omelet. You can't unsee it now, can you? All right, our detective work is really starting to pay off. We've separated out the prokaryotes, and now the single-celled eukaryotes. So all we have left are the big guys, the multicellular eukaryotes. Our next clue is all about structure. We need to ask, does its cell have a wall? And this is a really huge difference in how you're built. Some cells have this tough, rigid wall on the outside for protection and structure, kind of like a suit of armor. Others, they don't have that. Their flexible membrane is their outer layer. So that group of organisms that is defined by what it doesn't have, this rigid outer wall, well, let's just say it's a kingdom you are very, very familiar with. It's us, Kingdom Animalia. That's humans, lions, cats, snakes, insects, you name it. What's the one thing we all have in common at the cellular level? We are all multicellular eukaryotes without a cell wall. That flexibility is one of the key things that makes an animal an animal. We are so close, we've only got 2 kingdoms left. Now, both of these groups are multicellular, and both of them have cell walls. So how in the world do we tell them apart? Well, the final clue is maybe the most basic question of all. How do you get dinner? This is our last great divide. You've got your autotrophs, think automatic feeders. They make their own food, usually from sunlight. And then you've got your heterotrophs, or other feeders. They have to eat other things to get their energy. It's the difference between being a chef and being a customer. So let's start with the autotrophs, the self-feeders. If an organism has a cell wall and it makes its own food from sunlight using chlorophyll, well, it belongs in Kingdom Plantae. Simple as that. From a giant redwood tree to a little rose bush, if it's doing photosynthesis, it's a plant.
Now for our fifth and final kingdom, and there's this perfect quote that just captures the whole mystery of this group. They look like a plant, but they are not plants. Kind of sounds like a riddle, doesn't it?
And that final kingdom is fungi. This is where it gets so fascinating. A mushroom, for example, has a cell wall, right? Just like a plant. But, and this is the crucial part, it cannot make its own food. It's a heterotroph. It has to absorb its food from other things, usually dead stuff. Which, when you think about it, means it eats more like an animal than a plant. And that's why fungi get a kingdom all to themselves. And that's it. The case is closed. We did it. By asking just a few simple questions about a nucleus, cell count, a cell wall, and lunch, we took those millions of species and sorted them into 5 understandable kingdoms. So let's take one last look at the complete map we just put together. This chart just lays it all out so perfectly. You can literally trace the logic. First, we split by cell type. Prokaryotic? Okay, you're in Monera. Done. For the rest, the eukaryotes, we ask one cell or many. Just one, you're a protist. And finally, for the multicellular bunch, we look at the wall and the food. Wall but can't make food? Fungi. Wall and can make food? Plantae. And no wall at all? That's Animalia. See? It's just a beautiful, logical system.
So as we wrap up, I want to leave you with this final thought. This isn't just about putting things in boxes. It's a map that shows us surprising relationships. It shows us that because a fungus has to find food just like we do, in a way, it's more like you than it is like the green plant it might be growing on. How cool is that? What other hidden connections does this map show us about how all life on Earth is tied together?